guys, I'm Cleo. I'm a producer here at Vox, and I'm also the host of Vox's first ever daily show. It's called Answered. It's on a new streaming app called Quibi, and every day we take on a question about this confusing moment that we're living through. So now I get to share with you guys one of my favorite episodes so far. Here we go. By now, you've probably heard of Nadia the tiger. But if not, allow me to introduce you.
A tiger at a zoo in New York has tested positive for coronavirus.
Researchers think that she caught it from a human zookeeper.
At the zoo, 4-year-old Nadia, her sister Azul, 2 Amir tigers, and 3 lions all developed dry coughs.
Don't worry, Nadia's doing a lot better now. But her illness highlighted something about the virus itself. It's zoonotic. That means it can transmit between humans and animals.
Now the bond between a Pomeranian and its owner may have taken a serious turn.
The study showed Winston, the family's fun-loving pug, contracted COVID-19.
According to the CDC and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, 2 cats in separate parts of New York tested positive.
All of this has me wondering, which animals can catch coronavirus? Should I be worried about my pet? I'm Cleo Abram, and this is Answered by Vox.
Well, for most animals that we've seen that can be infected by COVID-19, they don't have very serious symptoms.
That's Dr. William Karish. He's a wildlife veterinarian and an expert on animals and pandemics. I have a dog. Should I be worried about my dog?
No, you should not be worried about your dog. Dogs have been shown in rare cases to pick up the virus, but the virus doesn't grow very well in dogs. People found out that dogs have it just out of curiosity because the people in the homes were very sick, and they thought, well, let's just test the dogs and see if they might have it. And they picked up the virus, but the dogs weren't sick. Cats seem to be more susceptible, and cats can actually infect other cats, but they don't get very sick.
While it is possible for our pets to get very mild cases of COVID-19, the CDC says, quote, the risk of animals spreading COVID-19 to people is considered to be low. So it seems like we can take our pets getting sick, or getting us sick, off our list of worries. But it's clear that COVID-19 can transmit between humans and animals. So researchers are trying to figure out which animals are most susceptible. Once the virus breaks into an animal's body, it needs to fit itself inside a special receptor on the target cell, called ACE2. The virus and receptor act kind of like a lock and key. The more easily the SARS-CoV-2 virus latches on to a species' ACE2 receptor, the more likely that animal is to become infected. Each species' ACE2 receptor is a little bit different, so not all animals get infected equally. The virus is more likely to bind in humans, camels, cats, pangolins, and bats, but less likely in rats, mice, chickens, and guinea pigs.
So this is the first part of the story, which animals can it bind to, but it's not the whole story, because we know that pigs actually don't have a productive infection, even though they can receive the virus.
Which is why so many animals are susceptible to the virus, but it doesn't make them sick.
We don't want to jump to too many conclusions, but it's a beautiful start to a way to look at susceptibility.
The ACE2 receptor is really only an indicator of whether or not an animal can become infected with coronavirus. It doesn't tell us anything about how coronavirus can spread between humans and animals. I've heard people talk about bats, about pangolins, about wet markets. So I'm wondering, what do we know for sure about how COVID-19 got from animals to humans?
Well, right now we don't know what the original animal source was. We know that there's many viruses very similar to COVID-19, like all its kissing cousins and its brothers and sisters. We find those in bats.
Many of the viruses that make us sick originally came from the animal kingdom. The common cold originated in camels. Many strains of flu come from pigs and birds. HIV transferred to humans from a chimpanzee. Ebola, SARS, Marburg, Nipah, and COVID-19 have all been linked to bats. Is there a specific reason why these diseases come from bats as opposed to other animals?
There's over 1,400 types of bats. So there are a lot of viruses, for one thing. And then another is genetically, we're not so distantly related to bats. They're closer on the evolutionary tree, they're closer to people than a lot of other animals are. So the viruses, of course, then it's easier to share viruses with things you're related to. Like humans and gorillas can share a lot more viruses than anybody else.
Why is it, though, that when a virus like SARS-CoV-2 jumps from animals to people, it's so deadly to us, whereas it's less so to the original host animal?
All of us have viruses and bacteria living on us, and we have grown used to them. And over the millennia, we've actually evolved to use them. When we spread them among species, they have very different reactions.
Over the last 100 years, the number of zoonotic diseases in people has been increasing. On average, a new infectious disease emerges in humans every 4 months, and 75% of them come from animals.
Zoonotic diseases have been around as long as there have been people and animals together. What's new is what we call these new emerging infectious diseases, and that's a new virus like COVID-19. Those are becoming more and more common. We have more exposure to wildlife as we encroach into wild areas, as we disturb habitat. They spread faster because of air travel and trade. So we live in a new world.
For now, we don't need to worry too much about the animals in our lives getting sick from COVID-19. But we should be worried about health and our relationship with the environment.
We need to detect these things right away, not wait until they turn into a pandemic.